morning, guys. Greg Thomas with Soul Entertainment. I just want to share with you guys for a moment the topic of discussion, the topic that I was thinking about this morning, just concerning life and the way that things are, the way that things have been, man. I'll be real with you, man. Life is real. Situations and circumstances that we go through is real. So I just want to share with you guys, man, talking about rolling up our sleeves. Hey, listen. And so I give this analogy. This morning while I was on the show this morning. I gave the analogy of coming into the house and having to roll our sleeves up. Coming into the house, talking to a teenager, and asking them to wash the dishes. And you know how our teenagers are these days, man. Excuse me. You got to tell them 3 or 4 times to do something. And but the cool thing about it, my son Greg, he's responsible for keeping dishes and stuff washed. But yeah, so every now and again, after I get off work, I come home, and I just realized, Greg, man, you gotta do it yourself. It's not that he's a bad kid. It's not that he wasn't gonna do it. It's just some things in life we have to do ourselves. So, just thinking about life and just thinking about, 2021, the way that things are, man, I tell you, the truth of the matter is, man, is that we have to have a mindset of rolling up our sleeves. We have to have a mindset that literally says that if you're not willing to do it for me, if I can't find anyone else to do it, we have to possess this mindset that I'll get it done myself. And the reason that I'm saying this is because a lot of times we think that someone else is supposed to make the way for us, that someone else is supposed to do the hard work for us. Some of us feel as if we are so special in life that God should be magical and do something for us that we can't do ourselves. It's almost as if we are believing within our own mind that life is going to take off and to do something special for us without us working at it. It's faulty thinking to believe that in 20 and 21 that you're going to be great or accomplish anything that is worth having without you actually putting forth effort. I know. And the reason that it shakes us up at times is because we're just comfortable people. While we learn how to sit in comfortable places, we learn how to be comfortable. We learn how to find our place in life. And once we find that place and have a little success in the area, man, we stop working. But I'm mindful of how complicated life really can be for those of us who are striving and pushing and want more, and the ones who are desiring to see God do something bigger and better and stronger in our lives. I'm mindful of the few people that I know that are not willing to stop, that no matter what happens, they're going to keep going. I mean, I'm mindful of the few people that listen, life deals us all types of things, all types of situations in our life. But I'm mindful, I'm grateful, and I'm thankful to know a few people that regardless of their health situation, they're still not going to quit. That regardless of their job situation or their jobless situation, they're still not going to stop. I'm mindful of how life will throw you curveballs, of how a job will tell you, I'm sorry, but this is your last day for work and you need to find another employment. I'm mindful of how the unemployment office won't get back to you as soon as you need them for a claim, right? I'm mindful of how things happen and the way that things work in life. And the cool thing about life in these situations is that we've got to learn how to keep going. We've got to learn how to keep pushing. We've got to learn how to keep pressing. How do you learn how to keep doing something? You got to realize that the pressure that is applied to your life, that is there for a reason. You've got to realize that you're going through hell only so that you can grow. You've got to realize that if you're going to be great, that if God is going to do something magnificent in your life, then the first thing that you've got to understand as you start to go forward, the first thing you've got to understand is that you've got to get busy yourself. I'm mindful of how important important learning how to be a self-starter and being under pressure and looking back at your yesterday and trying to erase your yesterday. I'm mindful of how hard it is to erase your faults and your lacks and the things that happened to you yesterday. See, as we continue to grow, one thing about us is that we want to cling to those things, those successes in our life. But the truth of the matter is that we have more failures than we have successes in the first stages of our life as we continue to grow. See, what I'm mindful of is that if you venture out into a new platform, into a new career, if you venture out into something that you've never done before, you begin to start chasing your dreams. If you just want to be great within your own life, if there's something special about a certain activity or a certain thing that you do, it may not even be, it may be a hobby. I'm mindful that in order for you to get better at something, the only way that you can get better at something is if you try, and if you try again. I'm mindful that, oh God, I'm mindful of how important trying is when you think about how hard it was to learn how to ride a bike. I'm thinking about how as children, when we began to learn to ride our bike, we cried a little bit, got back on the bike, and kept pedaling. We fell off the bike, mom, dad ran up to us, we started crying, we ran back up to, got back on the bike, and we tried to begin. I'm mindful of the next day coming up. It was like, Dad, I want to ride my bike. When you failed yesterday. See, kids are mindful that it takes a continuation of failing in order to just be able to ride a bike. I'm looking at how many times a child may fall off the bike in order to learn how to ride it. Then I'm looking at us as grown-ups. I'm looking at life as we have as grown-ups, and I'm seeing that there is something that is special about a child learning and understanding that they have to fail in order to see life work for them, in order for them to be able to ride their bike. But then when I look at I look at grown-ups, when I look at our own individual life, I'm asking myself, why is it so serious that we hate failing? Why do we forget that you've got to fail in order to learn? Why is it so hard for us as grown-ups to realize that if you're entering into a new place of business, if you're entering into a new level of success, a new place, if you're trying to make your presence known in a new area of life, if you walk into a new door, I'm mindful that as you go into that new door, you won't know how to handle yourself. You won't know what to do when you get in that door. I'm mindful that yes, things that have happened in our life, they lead up until us. They lead up to us getting to that place. But the truth of the matter is that still once you get in that door, there's still things that you've got to learn in that door. There's still failures that you've got to make. There's still messes that you've got to make. There's still ugly situations that have to take place in order for you to actually grow into that place. I know it's not the most popular message, but sometimes we got to learn how to roll up our sleeves. Sometimes we got to realize that you've got to fail. You've got to fail until you can catch on to this thing. You've got to be mindful of where you come from and the things that you have lost along the way in order for you to get where you're going. See, I'm getting warmed up right now because I'm thinking about when I first began to get into business when I was around 14 and a half, 15 years old. When I was 14 and a half, 15 years old, I started selling crack. And the first 8 ball that I got, I credited it out. I credited out my dope. I literally credited out every gram of cocaine that I had. And why am I sharing? I'm sharing this because, see, for me, the business world started when I started selling drugs. The transactions started when I started selling drugs. Before this, it was wash the dishes, I'll give you 10. It was wash the dishes, I'll give you 5. It was, hey Dad, could you throw me some extra money? Things were free up into this place. But when I got about 14 and a half, 15 years old, I began to try and make the income for myself. God almighty. I wanted my own income. And in order for me to have my own income, guys, me and a buddy of mine, we decided that we were going to sell some drugs. So what I'm saying is that it's not that I'm not glorifying the drugs. I'm showing you just for a moment here of how failing actually prepares us in order to win. Because I'll tell you, it probably took me 3 or 4 8 balls in order to make a profit, for the simple fact that I was persuaded to just credit my dope out, and then I'll get my money back on the first, which it never came. But I'm saying that to say, in everything that we do that is successful, we're going to lose. If you're going to make some progress in life, if you're going to hit a home run in life, you even got to understand that the best baseball player, if I'm not mistaken, only strikes out 7 times out of 10. The best baseball player strikes out 7 times out of 10, but he hits the ball 3 out of 10, and that still makes them great. So I'm thinking about the millions of dollars that we could possibly earn if we would just be willing to fail just a little bit longer. See, one thing that I hate about social media, is the idea that some people are just literally arriving to their place without error. That some people are just sitting there in the midst and making a lot of money, doing a lot of stuff without failures. See, one thing that I do understand about social media is that nobody is willing to share the failures or share the mishaps or the problems or the things that were associated with their success. They just want to say, this is what I've got going on and this is what I'm doing. And when this sort of things happen, it persuades those other individuals that are behind us to not want failure. It makes us think that we're literally going to go forward in life and everything is going to be a 100 out of 100. Listen to what I'm telling you. We're thinking within our own mind that just because we see someone else do this thing on Facebook, just because we see somebody do this thing on Instagram, just because we see somebody do this thing on Periscope, or we see our professional basketball players, our professional football players, soccer players, hockey players, we see the baseball players, we see these professionals in their profession doing great things, and we automatically think that they got there last night. We automatically think that they got off the bus and they became great. But the truth of the matter is that for 99.9% of everyone else that is a part of something great is that you got to fail. Is that you've got to come to a place to where you embrace the fact that failing is a part of life. You got to face the fear and understand that some people are just not going to like you at what you do. That some people are not going to be with you. They're not going to support you. That there's no fan club. I want you to realize that you won't actually be able to win in life until you allow yourself an opportunity to win. If you want to be great on this journey, if you want to be great in this life, you've got to be willing to be the first one. You got to be the biggest fan. You've got to be your biggest fan if you're going to make life work in 20 and 21. I'm telling you some real stuff on today, because the truth of the matter is that if you're actually going to be great, that if you're going to do something that is going to be magnificent in this life, then I'm telling you that beyond a shadow of a doubt, in order for these things to take place, you're going to have to transition from the place of thinking that success is automatic. You're going to have to transition from the place of thinking that you're going to have this great support system and that everybody in life is going to help you. You've got to transition from this idea that you're going to work or that you're going to be great for a few days. You've got to transition from this idea that life is going to manifest itself on your behalf tomorrow. You've got to realize that you've got to put some work in. You've got to realize that you've got to work your tail off in order to get where you're going. And so I just wanted to speak to somebody today, because this is a conviction within my own heart, is that we roll up our sleeve, is that we begin to understand what's going to make us successful is going to be the hardest things that we possibly have to do in our life. That in order for us to realize, in order for us to get going, in order for us to make some things manifest themselves into our natural life, and the great things in life, one of the main things that we're going to have to do, we're going to have to get busy ourselves. We're going to have to stop depending on what we think God was supposed to do for us. We're going to have to stop depending on what we think our spouse was supposed to do for us. We're going to have to stop depending on what we think other people were supposed to do for us, what our kids were supposed to do for us, and we're going to have to literally get busy. So how do you shift from a mindset of thinking that life was supposed to work out and that you were supposed to have a free card, that you were supposed to have a free pass in life in order to come into a place to where you're rolling your sleeves up? How do I get to a place of stability? How do I get to a place of responsibility where I begin to take where I'm going? I begin to take where I want to go into my own hands. I tell you how to do it. You got to do it one day at a time. What you have to do is you have to decide within your mind. You have to decide on today that today I'm not asking them to roll their sleeves up. I'm no longer asking them for their support. I'm not reaching out thinking that they're going to be magical and do something for me on today. But what I'm going to do within my own life, I'm going to decide today that this is what I want to do. I'm going to decide on today that I'm not just going to be the best version of me, but that I'm going to be the best. Listen, I'm going to be the best in the field that I'm in who's ever done it. What's up, RT? I've got to realize that when I roll my sleeves up, something activates within my own mind. There's something that strengthens me in my own mind that tells me that, God, you have made me available in this time. You have put me here in this place in order to make a thing happen on this life. Listen to what I'm telling you. When you roll your sleeves up, it activates something that is greater on the inside of you, greater than what you ever seen before. Some of us call it the Holy Spirit. Some of us just say the Spirit. Some of us say it's our intuition. Some of us even give our own self credit. But what I'm telling you is that there is a place in life that you're only qualified for if you'll go in that door. There's a place in life that only you can see, that only you can manifest some things for your own individual life. It won't be given to you. You're gonna have to work for it. It won't be a free. It won't be a free trip, but you got to work for it. You've got to roll your sleeves up. You got to get some grease on your hands. You've got to sweat a little bit. You've got to sweat a little while. It's time out for believing that God or anybody else is going to do something for us and make life free. Yes, your feet are gonna hurt if you work in a factory. Yes, your hands are gonna hurt if you work in a factory. Listen, my feet, my back, my legs, my arms, my shoulders, everything work. I'm a detailer when I got a detail. I'm a preacher when I gotta be a preacher. I'm an insurance agent when I gotta be an insurance agent. I'm a motivational speaker when I've got to be a motivational speaker. There ain't many times where many people can do a whole lot of stuff continually for an absolute long time, but you can't have a mindset for it for a long time. You can mentally wise. You can roll your sleeves up and say, you know what, I got some stuff I gotta do. You can literally roll your sleeves up and say, man, this is some stuff that I've got to manifest for myself. Listen. Nobody's gonna give it to you, so stop looking for it. Nobody's gonna give it to you, so stop looking for it. You got to do it. There's something special about you activating you. There's something special about not anybody else telling us how great we are, but you look at yourself in the mirror and say, I got this. There's something that is special about you confronting the things that scare you so bad. There's something that is special about you you going to your mirror and telling yourself that you want to be the best version of you. There's something special about you actually just realizing that you can change your own life, that you can change the direction of your own life. It's easier to believe that somebody is going to hand us an easier life. It's easier to believe that God is going to hand us an easier life. When in reality, the higher we go, the harder things get. But what God is trying to prepare us for is the hard stuff. See, what God told the children of Israel, and I've got to read it and meditate on this stuff, is that the 11-day journey that I wanted to take you through, I couldn't take you through 11 days because you weren't prepared for it. That when the enemy would have come up against you, you would have ran. You would have tucked your tail and you never would have made it into the promised land. So many people glorify the fact or look at the situation and say, it took 40 years to take an 11-day journey, but daggone it, somebody made it into that place. See, what you got to realize in your own individual life, stop worrying about how long it took them. Stop worrying about how long it took them. Stop worrying about what everybody else got going on and understand that your own success in life is going to take years in order for you to accomplish. If you would just look at your own individual life and just thank God for where He's brought you from and for where you're going, then you will be more successful in your own individual life. Yes, it took them 40 years in order to make a trip into the promised land, but somebody got into the promised land, and our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ was born. What I'm trying to get somebody to realize just concerning this story is that success ain't overnight. You got to roll your sleeves up, guys. And when you roll your sleeves up, guys, things ain't going to work out the way that you want them to work out just because you're saved. Things are not going to work out just because you're a preacher. Things are not going to work out just because you're sowing good seed. You've got to understand there's a parable in the Bible that speaks about the sower, and it says that he went out and he sowed good seed. But it said that the enemy came in and sowed some tail right there beside what he had good. What is he talking about? Every friend that you make ain't for you. Every person that you meet in life, they don't care nothing about you. What he's trying to get us to understand is that your life will be a mixture of good and bad, that your life will be a mixture of things working and things not working. Because Romans tells us in the book of Romans, it takes us there and it lets us understand that all things will work together for the good. You've got to confront what you're scared of. You've got to confront the things that are causing you to stay behind. You've got to confront some stuff in your life, I'm telling you. And until you confront it, God ain't gonna move it. Until you confront and deal with the fears of your life, God ain't gonna move it. Listen, God is a just God. There is a purpose for each and every one of us. There is some stuff right now that lies before you that you're scared to touch, you're scared to talk about, you're scared to see it, and you don't even want to see it coming. There's some stuff that is going on in your life right now that uninterests you. And it only uninterests you because it's difficult. It only uninterests you because you're not allowing your mind an opportunity to wrap your spirit around the solution. Listen, there are circumstances that we are faced with as human beings that has literally scared us so bad. There are things that we have experienced in our life that did not go well. And as a result of those things not going well, they scared us so bad that we don't want to return to them. But I'm telling you right now, in the name of Jesus, this is why we are saved. This is why we use the power of God and the Spirit of God for the things of God. This is why we do it. We do it because there are certain things in our life that none of us want to confront, that has to be confronted, and we don't have the balls to do it. We don't have the confidence to do it. We don't have the courage to do it. We don't have the power to do it. We don't even have the power to believe it. We don't have the vision for it. We can't even see it with our little old mind. And what God is trying to say is that if you'll worship me, if you'll serve me, you can unlock within your own individual life the very thing that scares the freaking death out of you. God is trying to get some of us to understand that until you get over the difficult, until you face what is difficult in your life, until you walk head on with what's difficult in your life, you gotta roll your sleeves up. You just gotta roll your sleeves up. I'm sorry. There's nothing else that I can tell you. That prayer won't get it. You got to roll your sleeves up. Listen. Prayer won't get it. When I say that prayer won't get it, the prayer has already been prayed. Now, what are you going to do about it? Because as we look in the book of James, he said, I'll show you my faith by my works. Listen, you already prayed and God heard it. God has already ordained angels to walk with you, but your feet ain't moving. Good God Almighty, I know it ain't the most popular message this morning, but I'm trying to get somebody to understand that if you'll roll your sleeves up, not tell them to roll theirs up. Jesus rolled his up when he went to the cross. I'm talking about your own individual life. Maybe you're a single mother. Maybe you're a single father. Maybe you're single. Maybe you want to be married. Maybe you don't want to be. I don't know what your situation is, but I'm telling you that there's something that you've got to face. And if you don't face it, you're going to waste your life. That if you don't face that enemy, if you don't face that devil, if you don't face those circumstances, if you don't face that situation, you're going to stop. And if you stop and give up, you're going to mess some other folks up because people are depending on the fact that you're going to go forward. They're telling you right now, they're telling themselves that if she can do it, I can do it. That if he can do it, I can do it. You've got to roll your sleeves up and see how many others roll theirs up right behind you. But until you move, they ain't moving. Until you move, God ain't moving. Until you move, the angels ain't moving. Until you move, the earth won't let you in. Until you move, the doors won't open. You got to get busy. Oh God, God is saying that there is a supernatural blessing that is made available to everybody who started this broadcast and was scared, but as a result of it, go move in faith. Moving in faith has nothing to do with whether or not your hands are sweating. Has nothing to do whether or not you're trembling on the inside. Moving by faith literally says that regardless of how I feel, regardless of how my hands are shaking, regardless of how my mind is thinking, regardless of how the negative energy that is around, regardless of how it is I'm going anyway. See, faith is more than something that is beautiful and pretty. Faith gets down with you when you want to turn your back. Faith gets down with you when you want to give up and quit. Faith is what keeps you from committing suicide. Faith is what brings you out of depression. Faith is what causes you to crawl sometimes when you can't walk. Faith is the active. Faith is the feet to where we're going. And it cannot be activated if you're scared. We got to roll our sleeves up. So we have a list of people, great people, great men and women of God, just throughout the Bible, throughout life, throughout Facebook that have rolled their sleeves up. Big shout out if your sleeves are up. Big shout out if you're just rolling them up right now. But we've got to get busy. It's July already. Listen. 2021 will be over before we know it. It'll be over and done with before we know it. But if you're going to be great, listen, if you want to be great, you got to think about what you're praying. You're praying to be great. Listen, hold on. I'm almost done. This is the situation. You're asking God to do a supernatural thing through your life. You're believing that God called you and that God is going to do something magnificent in your life. If you're going to have any success for the remainder of your life, you've got to get busy. You've got to roll your own sleeves up. You've got to trust God in the trenches of life. You've got to trust God when the money is not there. You've got to trust God when the people are not there. You've got to trust God when your feelings don't even align with the vision that is in your mind. I'm talking to some folk whose mind is saying one thing and your spirit is saying another. And the reason that you have not manifested and your life is not went where it was supposed to go is because you keep telling your spirit to submit to your mind when your mind should be submitting to your spirit. The reason that you have not really the reason that you have not seen the benefits or the fruits of God's labor is because your soul is in control rather than your spirit. How do you know if your soul is in control? Every time life gets hard, you go back into the wrong place. Every time life gets hard, you make a decision to quit. When you know when your spirit is in the right place, when every time it gets hard, you get on your knees and pray, but you keep going. Every time your spirit gets weak, you go back to God, you recharge, you fast, and you pray, and you move on it. But what happens in life is that because of our will, our voluntary will, when life gets too hard, we stop. When life gets too hard, we quit. It ain't even about having the biggest church. It's not even about the actual church building that we're focusing on. We're focusing on the activity that we pursue, that we do within and out of our community, helping this and helping that. See, the steps that you take in life are going to be what's going to help the community. It ain't all about the building that you have. It's more so be the steps that you take. Walking away from things that don't mean you no good. Walking into the things that mean you good but scares you. So what we want to do is we want a better manifestation of the things that God wants for us, but we're scared to go in those doors. Well, I got some news for you. Everybody that went in those doors was not as confident as they are today with what they had to go through when they first went in those doors. So don't let people lie to you and look down on you just because you're humiliated by the failure that you saw when you stepped out in faith. You got to go step again. You got to be strong enough in God to realize that that was a learning lesson when you lost then. It's going to be a learning lesson when you lose again. But the most valuable thing is that you're learning as you are pursuing. As you pursue, you are learning. And so we never want to stop learning. So we never want to quit pursuing. Because when we stop pursuing, we stop learning. And when we stop learning, we lose the favor of God. And when we lose the favor of God, we lose the motivation, the drive that pushes us, that drives us forward. I'm talking to some real people today. I got to get out of here and I got to go to work. But I want somebody to realize on today, you need to give yourself more credit for who you are and who you have become as an individual. You are robbing yourself because you are waiting on other folks to praise you when all you got to do is tell God thank you and move on. There are angels, there are people, listen, there are family members that have left this side, that are on the other side, that are in the spirit, that are looking at you, that are continuing to pray and believe God for the best of your life. If you can't do it for the living, do it for the ones that have died to make the way. If you cannot do it for the ones that are here today, thank God for grandmama who prayed you through, who brought the family through. Do it for her. What I want you to understand is that there are angels that are encamped around you, that is there for you, that is keeping you, that is strengthening you, that is empowering you. Listen to what I'm telling you. There are angels that are encamped around you, that every time you go into the valley, they went before you to secure your victory. They went before you to secure your safety. The Lord has secured your safety, but you're still scared. It's okay to be scared. Just keep moving. Greg Thomas here with Soul Entertainment, man. I want to share with somebody on this morning. The power of moving, the power of rolling up your sleeves. It ain't the easiest thing to do, man. You want to get into that $500,000 house, it's scary as a fool, man, when you're renting right now. And you saying God's going to bless me with a house of $500K. How are you going to do that? He's going to do that because you're going to roll up your sleeves. You're going to get busy. He's going to do that because you're going to stop talking yourself out of what God is trying to do in your life, and you're going to let him do it. The truth of the matter is that we've talked ourselves out of the very blessings of God because of fear and just being scared. Honestly, just being scared stops us from God opening so many doors in our life that you wouldn't even believe. And so what we want to believe on today is that as a result of you rolling up your sleeves, whether you're scared or not, I need you to go forward. I need you to do it. I need you to let God do what he's going to do, but you've got to move. You've got to go forward and move with him. You've got to prepare your mind in order to win on this level. This is not just a regular competition. The enemy, listen, people will attack you in the natural and the unseen. People will attack you that you can see out front, and people will attack you also behind the scenes. If you don't move, you're going to lose the battle. But the truth of the matter is that the battle is already won, but you need to understand that. I need you to win by moving. I need you to win by mindset. I need you to win by allowing your mind an opportunity to be introduced, to continue to be introduced to the unknown. If you will continue to introduce your mind to the very things that you fear, you can unlock within your mind so much more potential. There is a study that shows us that we only use 10% of our mind in our lifetime. If you unlock another 10% of your mind, it'll make you a millionaire. If you unlock another 10% of your mind, using 30% of your mind, it'll make you a billionaire. If you unlock another 10% of your mind and go into 40% of using your potential, it'll make you a trillionaire. And if you go and unlock 10% more of your mind and use 50% of your mind, the world will write a book about your life that'll go into history. And the world will know that God was with you. And he was with you not because you took the easy route. It was because the very thing that scared you so bad are the doors that you entered into. And as a result of you entering those doors, that's what the people want to hear. Your crowd is not waiting for life to be easy for you before they follow you. They want to know that your life is hard, that your life is full of trials, that your life is full of situations, that your life is full of ups and downs, but you're still in the fight. Greg Thomas, Sword Entertainment. Think on that, play it back, whatever you got to do with it. I was speaking to myself the entire time. While I get ready for work, I think I'm going to go ahead and play this one back. This was an awesome message. Didn't plan to go that long, but I did begin to see my own individual life and what God wants to unlock. He'll unlock it in your life if you won't stop. Roll your sleeves up.